If you ever start a YouTube video with welcome to another video, you're a fucking hack. And I hate you. Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna blah blah blah. It's not interesting. So the engine's off the engine stand for the first time in, I don't know, 2 months. And right now I'm throwing the flywheel clutch pressure plate on. Then I gotta make the transmission. And then it's going in the car. And the nice thing about it being on the ground is that I can put it in properly like I didn't do when I did the transmission for right, you're fucking this up. Alright, it's torque time. First, I gotta torque down the main bolt because if I don't torque that down, I'm fucked. And I couldn't torque that down while the engine's on the stand. And then once that's torqued down, I can torque down my flywheel bolts and then I can install my clutch and pressure plate. And good times. So I got the flywheel clutch pressure plate installed. Everything's all torqued on and good. That's just the stuff I took off. I didn't replace those parts because they only have about 20,000 kilometers on them anyways, if that, because I bought them when I did the manual swap at the beginning of spring. So now that everything is torqued on, I can make the transmission. Believe me when I say that this is 1 billion times easier with the transmission out of the car. Because last time I had to do this, I was pretty much underneath the car lifting the transmission into the engine, and it was a huge pain in the ass. But this should only take me about 2 minutes. 20 minutes. And then I can put everything back in the engine bay, and I will have so much space for activities, and I can finally say I have a turbo car, because I have never had a turbo car before. Okay, so the engine and transmission are fully mated together. I also got the starter on. Anyone who's ever split a KA and its trans before knows that getting the bell housing bolts back in is a huge pain in the ass because it's impossible to remember where they're supposed to go. But I got it. And now it's time to throw it back in the car. I've been busy the last couple days. So as you saw in the time lapse, I got my engine put back in. Went in very smoothly, not too much hassle. Once I got the engine in, I went through and installed the rest of the drive line. So my transmission is bolted up and filled with fluid. The differential's bolted in, and yeah, it's just a couple less things to worry about later. Now obviously my car is still not even close to running. It needs all the accessories. Fuel, electricity, turbo supporting mods, a cooling system, just a lot of things. So I'm going to take a quick break from all of that work because I've been so busy with the engine lately, I've been neglecting the rest of the car. So what I'm going to do now is go through and redo my wheel arch cutouts in the back. There's two reasons. For one, I did a shitty job the first time. I was really excited to get my Eurolines on. So I rushed it and did a shitty job. And the second reason is I'm actually not happy with the size I cut them out. I still only have like 2 inches of clearance above the wheel, which I'm not super comfortable with. So I'm going to cut them bigger, do a better job this time. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go through pretty much from there back and annihilate the last of the rust on the rockers, which there is still a little bit of. Then there's also some frame rail rust and a little bit of floor pan rust. So that's pretty much the next phase of this project, is recut those. Could have done it right the first time, didn't do it right the first time. And then annihilate all the rest of the rust, because I would rather have a chassis that is hacked completely to bits than a chassis that has any rust on it. And I'm going to have a chassis that's hacked completely to bits. Don't you even worry about that. So if you follow me to under the rear wheel arch, that is one of the last truly rusty areas on this car. There's, I would say, 2 or 3 more really rusty areas, and this is one of them. So this is why I plan to redo this wheel arch. For starters, the inner fender is coming off where it connects to the chassis all the way around. This entire seam is just completely rusted out. So I need to replace the inner fender there. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to increase the diameter of the cut for, you know, clearance sake. So that's another one of the last rusty areas on this car gone. You may be saying, well, now you just have a giant hole in the corner of your car, you fucking moron. What are you gonna do about that? Chill out. Chill. I'm gonna weld it back together. Pretty much my strategy for getting rid of rust is cut rust out first, ask questions later. You might remember that I fixed this last winter. Well, surprise, I didn't fix it very well. So I have to go in and redo my work. Luckily, the other corner that I fixed last winter on the driver's side is still completely fine. So that one doesn't need to be redone, but this one did need to be redone because I really half-assed it last time. So I got the back half of this box done. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. My welds are boogery as always, but they're solid. I can, you know, shine a light back here and it's not going to peek through there. No micro holes. Decent penetration, but not going to win any beauty contests, but this car was never going to win any beauty contests, so whatever. The reason it didn't work last time was 2 reasons. For one, I didn't remove all the rusty metal. I got a bit lazy and I was doing it like on a driveway in the snow, so I got a bit lazy. I left some rusty metal in there, and then I also left the vent hole in there. So the combination of a little bit of rusty metal and the vent hole meant that in the late spring thaw, this was able to fill with water and snow and slush and all that shit, and the existing rusty metal just totally gave up. So now I've removed all the remaining rusty metal, put in completely new metal here, sealed the big ass hole, and now pretty much what has to be done is I gotta take the front piece and weld it back on like that. I'm not gonna painter's tape it back on. That was just for measuring purposes. Yeah, ideally if I was smart I would have done a cutaway like this the first time so I could get in there to work correctly, because last time I was actually doing all this work from the bottom, which was a huge pain in the ass. But that just, last time I did this, I thought I was still going to be able to salvage the rear quarters on this car, but now that I've long since accepted that I'm going with over fenders, I can just do shit like cut this out and then weld it back on later when I feel like it, because it's all going to be covered in fiberglass anyways. Alright, so that's the rear corner done. I'm happy with how it went. I think it's really solid. I'm pretty much certain it's not going to rust out again as long as I treat it properly. I still have to fill that reflector hole there, and there's also a little rivet hole that has to be filled. And then there's still one edge there that needs to be sealed up, but that's all part of the new inner fender, so that'll get done later. So now that that rear corner is done, I'm almost ready to start building a new inner fender so I can get this side all sealed up. The one last thing I have to do before I can do that is I did this patch here on the rocker panel a couple months ago to fix a bunch of rust, and I pretty much just need to finish it up. I need to clean up the welds, and that's about it. Once I do that, I will be able to start making the new inner fender, and once I have the new inner fender in, the entire passenger side will be rust fixed, and then I can start focusing on the driver's side. So that corner patch is cleaned up, depending on your definition of the word clean, and now it is time to start making the new inner fender. That's the prototype of my new inner fender, and if I can get it to look anywhere near that good when I make it out of metal, I'll be pretty happy. Time for a shitload of cutting and welding. Conveniently, we just happen to have like 900 square feet of sheet metal at the shop, so that'll be more than enough.
Is that the start of your video?
No, this is the end of the video.
I will drive you home if you start your next video with that.
You will have to drive me home anyways.
No, I don't have to drive you anywhere.
Somebody has to drive me home. Brett drove me here and then left. Oh, you drove me here. Beer before liquor, never been sicker. Okay, I gotta film something real quick. Okay, so I finished this inner fender. It is half decent. I'm actually happy with how it turned out. I got the welds all cleaned up. Now, with the exception of this little reflector hole, the entire passenger side is sealed, rust-free, ready to be coated with something. I don't know what yet. I'll do that later. I don't give a shit. What was I gonna say? I can just jump cut past this. I don't know. No, I'm gonna end it. I don't want to talk about the doors. So that's where I'm gonna end this one. Next time around, I gotta do the whole rust fix on the passenger side. I gotta reshell these doors. I gotta hook virtually every part of the engine up. I got a bunch of stuff left to do, but that will be done later.